From a guy storming back from 10 shots down in a major, to a legend showing up at 50 years old and winning one anyway. These are the 8 most dramatic comebacks in golf history. We're counting down from number 8 to number 1, and when we hit number 1, it won't even sound real. Let's begin. Number 8, Jason Day. In 2015, Jason Day went on a tear. He won the PGA Championship, won multiple times that season, and by later that year, he'd climbed to world number 1. And then, the part golf fans hate. The results started slipping, but it's not because he forgot how to play. It's because his body wouldn't let him be the same guy every week. The back issues kept coming back, over and over. Some weeks he'd look sharp, and the next week he'd be swinging like he's just trying to get through 4 rounds. And vertigo showed up again too, which is brutal because it doesn't just mess with your score, it messes with your balance and your confidence. So for a few years, Jason Day sat in that weird limbo, not retired, not contending, just a former world number 1 trying to stay healthy long enough to matter again. Then in 2023, he finally broke through. He won the AT&T Byron Nelson, and it's his first PGA Tour win in 5 years. Not a cute top 10 comeback, a win, the full job. That's why he's on this list. In golf, losing your swing is one thing, losing your body is worse. And coming back from that takes more than a quick fix. Now, number 7 on this list is Adam Scott. Adam Scott's comeback was the kind golf almost never gives you, a proper redo. At the Open in 2012, he was 4 shots clear with 4 holes left. He was that close. Then it flipped. He bogeyed 15, 16, 17, and 18. 4 straight. And he watched the claret jug slip away in real time. After that, the story followed him everywhere. Anytime Scott came up, people didn't start with his swing or his talent. They started with what happened at the Open in 2012. So when he got to Augusta in 2013, it wasn't just another chance to win a major. It was a chance to erase the label. And he did. He won the Masters in a playoff. And that green jacket changed the way his entire career was talked about. That's why it was a dramatic comeback. Not because he disappeared, but because he came right back to the biggest stage and won. Now, if that was a clean redemption, the next one was pure chaos. A major won from 10 shots back. Number 6, Paul Lawrie. At the 1999 Open Championship at Carnoustie, Paul Lawrie started the final round 10 shots behind the leader. 10 shots in a major is supposed to mean you're out of the tournament. At that point, you just hope for a top 10 finish. But Carnoustie that year was a war zone. The course was brutal, the pressure was melting people, and Lawrie did something that only works when the entire field starts wobbling. He shot 67 on Sunday, climbed through the chaos, and suddenly he was in a playoff. Then he won the claret jug. That's what made it such a comeback. It wasn't one miracle shot. It was him staying steady while other players lost their heads. Next, we move into comebacks that feel like the sport is breaking its own rules. Because number 5 is a comeback against time itself. 5. Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson's comeback sounded like a joke until it happened. In 2021, he won the PGA Championship at 50 and became the oldest man to ever win a major. That's not supposed to be on the menu in modern golf, because at 50, your body doesn't bounce back the same way. The swing speed usually dips. The little aches start deciding your week for you. So the question wasn't, can Phil still win? It was, can Phil still hold up for 4 straight days with a major on the line? And that's what made that week feel unreal. He didn't win by overpowering anyone. He won by being Phil. He played smart, leaned on touch, and when the tournament got tight, he looked weirdly comfortable, like the pressure was on everyone but him. That's why it was an unbelievable comeback. Not just because he won again, but because he did it at an age where the sport usually tells you, thanks for the memories. And speaking of the sport telling a legend it was over, number 4 was the comeback that wrote the original template for that story. Next up, the comeback that started the whole legend at Augusta myth. Number 4, Jack Nicklaus. Jack's 1986 Masters was the week everyone thought was already over. He was 46, still respected, obviously, but most people treated him like part of the scenery at Augusta. A legend, not a threat. Then Sunday happened, and the whole tournament changed shape. He started making birdies, and you could almost hear the crowd wake up. It was like they suddenly realized, wait, he might actually win this. And the scary part for everyone chasing him was the pace. Jack didn't sprint. He just kept increasing pressure. One birdie, then another, and suddenly everybody else felt like they couldn't catch up. He finished it off with that final round 65 and won the Masters again. That's why it was a comeback. He didn't show up for a sentimental farewell tour. He played like he still belonged. And then he took the trophy. Now, we go from a legend turning back the clock to something heavier. Because number 3 wasn't just a win, it was a guy trying to escape a story that followed him for a decade. Number 3 is Rory McIlroy. Rory's comeback is different because it's not one injury or one slump. It's a 10-year shadow. After winning the other majors early, Rory spent years with one question hanging over him. When is the Masters going to happen? And that's a nasty place to live as a golfer, because he didn't even have to play badly for the noise to start. One missed putt, and it was right back to the headlines. The worst part? He kept getting close. He'd show up on leaderboards, he'd give everyone hope, and then the pressure doubled the next time around. Then in 2025, he finally did it. He won the Masters and completed the career Grand Slam. That's why it felt like a comeback. Not because Rory vanished, but because he kept walking back into the same tournament that had haunted him. And this time, he finished the job. Now, if Rory's story was about surviving pressure, number 2 was something bigger. It was a comeback turned into a global event. Number 2, Tiger Woods. Tiger's 2019 Masters win still feels unreal because for a long time it looked like Tiger wasn't coming back at all. He didn't just have one rough season. He had the public fallout and then the body problems that wouldn't stop. Back surgeries, constant setbacks, long stretches where he looked like he was just trying to move without pain. So the conversation around him changed. People weren't really wondering when he's going to win a major again. Then Augusta happened, and somehow, in 2019, he won the Masters. That was major number 15 for him, and it was his first major win in 11 years. That's why this was a comeback story people still talk about. It wasn't one hot week out of nowhere. It was Tiger grinding through years of rehab and doubt, then showing up at the biggest tournament in golf and finishing the job. Now, even that isn't number 1. Because the most dramatic comeback in golf history wasn't just about winning again. It was about surviving. Number 1 on our list is Ben Hogan. Ben Hogan's comeback doesn't belong in the same category as the others, because this isn't he struggled and then found form. This is he nearly didn't make it. In 1949, Hogan was in a horrific car crash involving a bus. The injuries were severe. Doctors questioned whether he'd ever walk normally again, let alone compete. And then, just about 16 months later, Hogan showed up and won the 1950 US Open at Marion. Think about how insane that is. Major championship golf requires endurance, stability, precision, and the ability to repeat a violent motion hundreds of times under pressure. Hogan didn't just return to the tour, he returned and became the best player in the world again. That's why this is number one, because it's not a comeback to form, it's a comeback to life. And that's the highest form of dramatic golf has ever seen.